Have anyone see Archangel?
Okay, everybody. So,
Sup, everyone?
as we had done last week, even though we veered off into more of discussing how the Pokédex would be like in real life, this is part 2 of Pokemon if it was the real world, mainly being a trainer.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we're going to end up recapping some stuff we talked about last week because, let's be honest, we were kind of unfocused. But for all of us, it was our first time, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess that's the excuse.
And I feel like I could have been a little bit better as well.
in the game in the game or in the chat.
That and also when it comes to audio, so I feel like I could have made it a little bit better. So I had to do some additional modifications in the hope of getting better audio. Thanks,
Right.
editing power.
I mean, hey, it's good practice for editing, so like
Yeah.
silver linings.
Yep.
I mean, contrary to popular belief, everybody has to actually start somewhere, and it's not always perfect.
Yeah.
Anyways, before we do what we did last week and get completely off topic, I think it's time to step in and go and discuss the world of Pokemon. And I think this time we should probably start on a bit more of a positive note. Unlike
It's a bright and colorful place.
as they try to portray in the games until you look underneath. Anyways,
Yep, until you look under the surface, yep.
Hello,
Yeah.
lobotomizing mushroom.
Good lord, this is gonna turn into like a Happy Tree Friends but Pokemon flavored or
Right,
something.
yeah.
Anyways, where was I before I get my focus completely screwed up?
How the world of Pokemon is a bright and wonderful place.
As always.
As we had stated last week, it's a we possibly might end up having to deal with like that. Unlike the games where you can be like as young as 10 years old, or in some cases even a preschooler being a Pokemon trainer, that chances are there would be like an age of consent for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine though, when thinking about it, it might actually be a little more lax than what we mentioned last week. Not so much that like straight up you can go into like 10 years old and whatnot, but no, I'm thinking like it's sort of
I feel like
minimum...
with kids, it would definitely have adult supervision. Like, say if a kid did want to go on a journey, that they would at least have one adult with them, like to journey with them, because like, I mean, like if I had a child and they wanted to go on an adventure with Pokemon, I'd be like, yeah, all right, we can go together. We can get like our own team of Pokemon, and like we can cover each other's weaknesses and all that, and help each other get stronger. That kind of thing.
I feel like it would look very similar to Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, maybe Sword and Shield for the youngins. While the traditional Pokemon, oh, you're unsupervised, go on your own, would probably be like Leaf Green, Fire Red, and some of the other older Pokemon games.
Yeah, some people like probably would be pretty lax about it. I think it just depends really on the area and like what kind of people are willing to let their kids do that. So some I can imagine will definitely be lax about it. There'll probably be adults like me who would probably be like, they could have at least one adult supervise them, like a parent or a guardian or something, or possibly older sibling.
Yeah.
All right. And Yeah, I think like if you're just going on like a broad adventure, you could, the adult supervision could happen, or like if the idea of like a trainer school possibly. Though I imagine like it
Yeah.
going on an official league, there is a minimum age requirement, and this is
Oh,
what I was kind
definitely.
of getting to. I think it's kind of the same as like at least in the states when theoretically you could actually already start getting like entry level jobs. They say theoretically because it's kind of a mess right now, but we're not going to that.
Yeah, we're not
Like
going into
that,
that
which would be
territory.
about like 15 or 16 usually. So you could
Yeah.
also say that's like when you can get a learner's permit. So it'd probably be like that.
Yep.
And I imagine like that's kind of when you can get like the trainer ID for like so that you can officially do it.
Hmm.
Yeah. I know that with Black and White, in Black and White 2, that was kind of the vibe they were trying to go for there with like how the player characters like don't look like well, at least like in my eyes, they kind of didn't really look like the previous protagonists. Like that, I
Yeah,
kind of got like the impression they looked a little older. I mean, like
even X and Y was also going with that as well.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
Well,
they
I
actually have
mean,
to.
one character
Oh,
in Pokemon Legends ZA is at least confirmed to be 21, and like back in X and Y, she was around the same age as the protagonist. So, like, I think it's safe to say that the protagonists of X and Y were at least 16, 15 or
Yeah,
16 at the very least.
yeah,
yeah. And
definitely.
it's actually confirmed that Hilbert and Hilda were actually 14 years old during Black and White.
Mm.
Right.
So, yeah, I know, like in Red and Blue, it's 10 years old, which definitely is that's not happening.
To be
No.
fair, like looking at red and blue in like red, blue, yellow, fire red, leaf green, they don't really look 10 years old. But I think that's just like maybe in the originals, yeah, they do, but like fire red, leaf green onwards, they do kind of look a little older.
Hmm.
So like I feel like age in Pokemon, like at least in the Pokemon games, is very deceptive.
Yeah, yeah, it's like yeah, because apparently Brendan and May are only 12 years old in Hot One games, though they do
Yeah.
not look like it. They look a little older than that.
Yeah, they look a little older.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
even though I can't find it on like the source I'm using, that it is implied that Callus are like at least like 15, which is where I'd say that's probably like when legally that's when you can get the trainer ID and actually start doing the league and whatnot.
Hmm.
Yeah, because Emma in Legend Z is at least 2021.
But uh, how long is how long? What's the gap between that? I didn't play ZA.
I think they confirmed it's set 5 years after the events of X and Y.
Yeah, so that would mean she was like 15 in X and Y then.
Yeah, because I had this discussion with a friend a while back, and he was trying to say like that Emma was 10 years old, and I'm like, actually, no, she's at least 16 in X and Y, and he was like trying to say no, she isn't, and I had to like just drop the evidence on him and like said nope, she's actually that age.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even in Pokemon Coliseum, apparently this guy just proves that people in the Pokemon universe look older than they actually do. Wes is actually 17 years old.
Yep.
Yep.
That's he seriously looks like he's in his 20s. Anyway, but yeah, once again we're going off topic, but
Yeah,
I
we're
think we
veering
kind
off
of get the
topic
point that
again.
it would not that while it could have like the little adventure, maybe with like adult supervision, it would not be like in the Pokemon games. You'd have to be older to do it on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, realistically, can you see the situation with Elite Four Poppy from the Gen 9 games, where she's literally a 9-year-old and an Elite Four member? Can
No.
anyone even see that?
No.
No.
And what's even funny is people actually thought she was younger than that before she confirmed it.
Yeah.
I don't remember the Elite Baby memes. Anyways. But yeah. One thing we kind of did discuss last time is the idea of like how many badges you might need and like how the circuit would go for like the gyms and Elite Four and whatnot. And while in theory it's possible you could see something like that, when thinking about it, I think it would kind of be like the real life VGC circuit or video game championships, as people like to call them.
Yeah, I was thinking either that, or given how it's kind of like a more physical thing, it would probably be more like sports circuits than video game circuits.
Well, the point kind of remains on the general idea. It's because, like, for the games, it works with with how you just go get the badges and then you can challenge the Elite Four. It probably does not even work like that. That's probably more like a ranking, or the gym leaders are the ones organizing the tournaments. They're kind of And speaking of that, it'd probably be more like the pre-gym and the Coliseum and XD games, where it's just kind of a room with a stadium in the middle rather than like a huge intricate puzzle. Because let's be honest, as the games progress, the gyms are not OSHA compliant at all.
No, they are not.
No.
So
you would be surprised.
I mean, I don't know how you could soft lock yourself IRL, but like, sure, I guess. You know what? Yeah, like bizarre things happen. Yeah, you know what? Sure.
Well, it's also like when you think about it, Koga and Surge's gyms would just immediately get shut down.
Yeah.
Although with the invisible wall gimmick, you have to wonder what the bathrooms in Koga's gym look like.
Yeah.
Invisible stalls. But yeah, it's kind of funny because Kanto may be like the safest region as a result, because a lot of them are just rooms. Or this might actually be something to consider. Though that probably would not be how
Lieutenant
the circuit
Surge's
actually work in
gym
real
would
life.
Lieutenant Surge's gym though would definitely not be OSHA compliant because
Lasers.
Yeah.
But,
Like,
yeah,
I think any electric gym leader, like gym leaders' gyms, would not be OSHA compliant at all because, well,
they would either be kind of like dumbed down, or at the very least
those
done
ones are
in
like
a
the most
more
puzzle-centric I've
touristy way that I
noticed.
feel like,
yeah,
oh,
the
press this
invisible
Tesla
walls would
coil
also
to
get
hit
Koga's
that
gym shut
thing.
down.
Don't worry, you're in
Yeah.
a safe room where you're less likely to get hit. Mm-hmm.
I'd imagine if it was just going to be straight up a gym, it'd probably be like Blaine's actually from Gen 1, where there's like if there's going to be like little puzzles, it's probably going to be like quizzes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Testing your knowledge. Though, like I said, I think it'd be more like how the tournament structure for the video game championships work, and like the gym battles, quote unquote, are more like a regional championship. Or if we want to go even smaller, it'd probably be like a Premier Challenge or Mid-Season Showdown, which are like the official local tournaments.
I feel like they would be like the gyms from Sword and Shield, minus their like puzzles and stuff. It will probably just be like you go straight into the stadium and you challenge like if it's done in a tournament pocket, you probably challenge like the trainers there. Have your break in
Yeah,
between
and
matches
possible
so your
animal
Pokemon can recover.
abuse
Because
charges
like
too.
you absolutely would not be like letting people just, oh yeah, we're running gauntlet matches here, because that would probably be very punishing on your Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to make
That's-
that a little bit more OSHA compliant, you would be required to let your Pokemon have a break in between matches.
Yeah, and what's kind of what kind of just hit me, it may be like a Pokemon Battle Revolution actually, with how some of the Colosseums are structured with that.
Yeah.
Mm.
And although that freaking roulette Colosseum's already, those bad memories are coming back up. I hated that one. I can only imagine people dread that event. Now, when looking at the regional list, like there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. And if we assume like if you now of course I think it'd be kind of a tall ask for you have to win the whole thing in order to get the badge. So the badge probably could be like there probably could be like a bronze, silver, and a gold, so to say, for like your placings and whatnot. And it'd be like you have to get like certain. And it's like you have to have a certain amount, and they kind of count for different ones. Kind of like how it's kind of like a more complicated version of the point system, but that currently exists in real life. But I could kind of see like you get like 4 gold badges, which means like you won the entire regional like 4 times. You're basically set for like the world championships. Which in the case of like the world championships, that'd be in place of like the Elite Four and the champion stuff. So that's probably like
I feel
something
like
to
if
consider
you
because
have
I
like
don't think
the
that
4 gold
structure
badges, there would
would
probably
be the
be a
case
little bit
either.
more
Considering
to
like
it.
there are some
Because
years
you
that
got
other
4,
people tend to
okay,
be
you have
elite instead,
everyone else
and
that goes
rather
4, so
the
Yeah.
it
idea
would
of
probably be a
Elite
little bit more
Four is
structured.
more of a
So you
ranking.
probably get, okay, you got 4 bads, now you're going to the semi-finals or the semi-world finals or regional, and then you basically work your way up to the actual Elite Four. The reason why
I don't think it worked like that. I think, like I said, I think it's a little bit of a complicated idea because it's
To
more
be
so
fair,
like
mm,
it's the top 8 in a certain country
yeah,
when it comes to championship points
yeah.
by the world championships that they can skip day 1 and go straight to day 2. So it'd probably be something like that, but not any further than that.
yeah.
And they'd probably even get like the travel stipends, so they get the travel costs covered.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So although I know they got a little bit more loose like this year, and I kind of hope they keep it that way. Where it's like if you get a first place finish at any regional, you automatically have your world's invite.
Yeah.
So you could say like the gold badge is kind of like you're immediately there.
Yep, all expenses covered within reason, because like
Well,
can't imagine like
Legally.
everyone's super crazy like on spending stuff. Like after a point they'd probably be like, yeah, you're gonna have to cover that cost, buddy, because like there's only so much we can cover.
yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, I think it'd be like in the top placements, which is like if you got like the 4 gold badges, you're probably like in the top 8 of the country at that point.
Yeah.
Which those would get like the travel stipends then. So they'd relegate it to like those, and that's what they would call like the elite in this amount. So like the top 8 would be like the elite 8 of the country. That's why I say it's like,
Yeah.
and they kind of have like and it becomes like the idea of like these are the people to beat when it comes to worlds.
Yeah.
So yeah, This would definitely be like something sort of like
especially as society
definitely take a lot of
advances and you'll have to deal with
brainstorming.
other
I can
people
imagine
from
like
different
trying to set up the
countries
circuit would be
instead of your
real
local
tough. Would be real
neighborhood.
tough at first.
Oh, it would be really tough to set up.
Yeah, because like
Yeah.
I mean, you tend to mostly. I mean, it depends on the level of the event. Because once you get to like the international championships, then you get people coming from all over.
Yeah.
And I can imagine like the international championships is basically like you get they can get like multiple badges because that's like one time only, and it's basically like the biggest tournament you don't need to be invited for. So you can almost kind of chalk that up to like how a whole region's Indigo Plateau is whatever the international championships is. Which, as this stream is going, the North American International Championships in New Orleans is going on. So you could say like that's where a Pokemon League would have had its would be sort of fixated, but it's not in a static place.
Yeah.
They'd probably treat
Like-
as such.
There would probably be like other like countries that have like their equivalent to that.
Yeah, and like I said, it also speaking of, like I said, it depends on like the density of like the country and like how big the country itself is. Because like in
Yeah.
South Africa, that's pretty tiny in the grand scheme of things compared to places like the United States or Europe. So
Yeah.
it'd probably be like, let's assume. Hold on a second. I gotta.
Well,
Hey, guys.
population-wise, it's completely different, right?
Yeah, because like you basically, because like when it comes to championship points for South Africa, you only need 200 versus the 500 that you can get over here that you need over here in the United States or in Europe. But and that
Well,
basically when you
imagine
translate that
India.
to like the badges, that means like you'd only need if we went by the traditional system, you'd probably only need like
That's why I'm
2,
thinking
and
there
there's like
might
only
be
like 4
potentially a
gyms.
little bit
And then you
more
translate to what we're
it.
kind of coming up
Because
with. That means like
looking at the United
you
States a
basically
little
get
bit, we have
if
the
you were to
ACT
they had like
and
the whole bronze,
SAT
silver, and
when it
gold.
comes to
Gold
the
would get
standard
you
education
the
stuff,
travel
and the
stipend
reason why we
immediately.
have that is mostly for college because sure you may be a all A student, but someone at another school may have a better A because they had a higher like educational standards. So that's why I'm thinking that for the badges they may have something similar to that. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you ask me, that's just burnt. The ACT and SAT are just burnout simulator, but I digress.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot to go to it. And yeah, it definitely would be kind of. I could definitely see it being the Pokemon Battle Revolution tournament styles being implemented. And it would not be like a puzzle filled gym. It'd probably just be like one or maybe even several like arenas set up. And of course, you have like one being featured, so that'd be like the one that people can watch from like the TV or something. But as that's
Yeah.
going on, others would be doing it, and then it'd be like probably have like several like people
Yeah.
from like the Pokemon Center set up so that people can rest up their Pokemon, and then it's the break.
Yeah.
Because like I said in the last one, I imagine the Cleric Clause applies to real life.
Yeah.
They have to be rested up. They have to be fully healed. You can't. And I imagine like in these tournaments, items would be banned, like they are in actual competitive Pokemon multiplayer.
Yeah.
Unless it's like held items, but that's a different story
Well,
if they're real.
I feel like the only exception that would be made for healing items, as if like say an attack hit a Pokemon particularly brutally, and like if it continued going, like and it risked their health, then it probably would be like timeout. It needs a heal. Like it can't go on, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think that at that point the Pokemon's basically just knocked out. You can't use it further.
Yeah.
There probably would be teams for that. And imagine like they'd have some rangers on standby in case something goes real wrong.
Yeah, because like in actual sports, stuff can go wrong. I feel like even in Pokemon battles, those, yeah, okay, the games don't really showcase it, but like the anime has showed it off that like it can go sideways in their universe. So I imagine that like if it was real life. Anything could also go wrong, you know.
Yeah, like I think that happened in the first Pokemon anime series with Erica's gym, because I forget what did it, but I know her gym caught on fire.
Invest into it.
And that is another thing to consider. So, because like there's probably a lot of safety regulations to be added to like all these gyms, like having the, and which I imagine can make them pretty pricey. So the cities have to really make sure that so that's kind of why like it can't be like a small town having these kinds of
imagine that
gyms.
Pokemon
You'd have to
battle,
have like
particularly
a lot
fight until
of,
you pass out like they fate.
you'd have
would
to have a lot of
possibly be
stuff. So like
banned.
you'd see them in more like the population centers, and the more
Like
poor the
basically, as
area
soon
is,
as
the
your
less
Pokemon
likely they're
hit
going to have
that
it.
red, this is where you basically stop fighting.
I mean,
I'd imagine it might be like how it is in the anime, where it's like, or it's like it's clear they can't fight anymore, and they're basically, and the whole fainting thing. That's probably what like down for the count, because as we know, some Pokemon, as we see in the anime, they're stubborn, just like some real animals are stubborn. They will try to keep going, even though they are clearly not in good shape, but they can turn things around.
I would even take a bigger step backwards, and like, I mean, I'm still not sure if something like Pokemon battles in the first place would be legal. Because I remember you guys telling me that, okay, technically in canon, Pokemon like it's healthy for them to fight each other. But at the same time, like, okay, that might be true, but would people believe it? And like, would people in, let's say, America, like if you assume, let's say, that all other animals are out there too, like we have cows, we have dogs, we have all other animals and Pokemon, then, and well, I guess let's think about the scenario, like how did the Pokemon appear? Like, were they with humans always, or did they just appear and now people are, doing all the fights and stuff? Because if the Pokemon were always with humans, it might be that with time, like as the civilization developed, people over time decided that, yeah, like making Pokemons fight each other is unethical, and the only way to handle them properly is to, I don't know, find some other ways for them to, I don't know, expend their energy or whatever it is that makes fighting for them healthy, right?
Well,
Yeah.
we did cover this last week. In the universe, it has actually been proven that Pokemon fighting is actually really good for them, because it's like basically the equivalent of exercise.
Yeah, but it can be done without them actually fighting each other, I assume. Like you can, like the same way you have wheels for hamsters for them to run in them, you can have like stimulations for Pokemons to fight, so that the actual Pokemon fights would be illegal because it's animal cruelty, basically. Like it's healthy for it's healthy for a cheetah to occasionally chase after antelope.
I definitely know
Sure.
if I
But
had
if
a
you
real
keep
life
cheetah in your
Eevee, I would
house,
definitely
like
be
you're not gonna
roughhousing and
get
playing
cheetah
with
to,
the
I don't know,
Eevee.
chase
And
after
I feel
some
like a
other
lot of people
animals.
would be
You're
doing
gonna
the exact
maybe
same
give him a
thing with
toy
their
or like throw him
Pokemon,
something
providing if they don't have
for
the
him to
funny
chase,
sharp
right?
claws.
Same with dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, because I imagine like a majority of people, it's going to be more so just using them, having them like pets and whatnot.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, Eevee definitely people would be one as a pet. But like that's it. But yeah, like the the Polish cat brings up a point, or Polish Meowth in this case. There's as the franchise did progress, like in the very, very early days, there were actually a few moments in the first anime where Pokemon did interact with some real world animals like weasels and whatnot. But as the franchise progressed, that kind of thing basically disappeared, along with like the references to real world countries. Because like in Fire Red
Yeah.
and Leaf Green, in some of the Pokedex entries, they actually reference real world locations. Like apparently Mew is often cited in Latin America, and that Arcanine is from China. With
Yeah.
all right, I got it right here actually from okay, Arcanine being like you could probably say this is something you could see being a common thing for like differences in circuits in certain areas. Like Arcanine is from China, Ponyta is from France, possibly from France or Japan because it's referenced there. Poliwrath is stated to be able to swim across the Pacific Ocean, so maybe there's Poliwags there, maybe.
Yeah.
Xatu apparently is in South American native legends, so it may be native to there. So, like, rather than how it is in the games, where like there's this whole established meta that may have some slight differences depending on the country because of the whole different mindsets, you'd probably be seeing like what's considered like really good and what's not good being depending on the region.
Yeah.
So like Xatu's kind of like
Now that brings up a point.
low mid
Oh, sorry.
tier in competitive Pokemon in the grand scheme of things. But with this in mind, you could probably see like Xatu being an absolute monster in like Latin America.
Yeah.
Now that brings
Unless
up a
there's something-
question: would certain
Unless
like
there's something
Pokemon be banned in
else
participating
in like
certain
Latin America
regions?
that like
Because you would not have
beats
a
it
NASCAR
in the
race against a
future,
Formula
which
One
like
car because they would just be outmatched.
maybe possibly.
The Formula One car outmatching the NASCAR because the Formula One car being the faster between the NASCAR. Hmm.
Possibly, but that's just a whole can of worms that I'm not too sure about.
Yeah.
I can imagine it'd be like for their circuit, but like I don't think the World Championships would care at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to consider for for it. Like there's a lot of variables.
Yeah, and I can also imagine like
Or
it's
Gyarados
not
getting
just
very
training them for battle.
angry.
You got to train up their temperament and make sure that your Pokemon's well behaved. Because can you imagine a Garchomp going on a freaking rampage because it's a sore loser?
Yes. Yes.
Yep. That definitely could turn pretty bad pretty quick. There. All right. We do have one more person that can't really speak in the voice chat, so I'll be translating for her at times.
Could someone
That is a
read
good
out loud
point with
what
how if you
Kaylee
train
is
your
saying?
Pokemon well enough, they can beat Pokemon that are otherwise considered overpowered, and that is true. I mean, in
Yeah.
many different card games like Yu-Gi-Oh, a Rogue deck can beat a meta deck if they know what they're doing. But I
Yeah.
think, like, just on average, there's different.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, someone's getting a phone call.
Yeah, and I had to reject it because we're kind of in the podcast. Anyways, as I was saying, so yeah, luck can be a factor, as critical hits could be basically that.
Yeah,
Can-
that was kind of what I was
can someone
referring to. Like, if a Pokemon
Can
took a
someone read out
particularly
loud
brutal
for
hit,
Kaylee?
and like, even if the Pokemon tried to like
Basically
power
say,
through it, even though it's like,
for the
hey,
person that
yeah,
should-
no, you shouldn't
I'm
push
sure the
yourself,
government
kind
would
of thing.
give the
Yeah.
funding for any
Brutal
gyms to
hit,
keep them
critical hit.
going.
Same thing, if you ask me.
Yeah, yeah, they would, because like if it is going to be like an official organization, like obviously it would probably be government run, so the government would be providing like the funds for that, and they would also like probably have specialists running it too. So like, yes, okay, you'd probably get places that like specialize in one particular type, but like I also feel like they would have specialists that would run multiple types, because like, since gyms are kind of meant to be a test of your skill, like if you had one person just specialize in one type, all the other person would just have to do there is just, oh, I can easily breeze this if I bring like a flying type to this grass gym. Like that kind of defeats the purpose of it being a test, because you literally would just brute force it. So I feel like for these gyms, they would probably have like people that specialize in multiple types to test you.
Yeah, like I think one of the most famous Pokemon players, Wolf Glick, he actually did run like a simulated gym for like the water type, and while early on it went fine, after a while there's someone who brought just a team that just spammed discharge, and just that's when like a lot of people started doing the same. Because he themed his as a water type gym. I can honestly imagine, like, instead of going like a specific type specialist thing, that it would be more so they'd be taking like some other competitive strategies. Like, rather than water, it'd be more so like a rain team, so to say.
Yeah.
Because those are, while that's still a specific specialization, it's varied enough to still work. Okay.
Yeah. Weather builds can work really well.
Yeah, with what Kaylee mentioned, for the fact that Ash's Pikachu in anime went through so many OP Pokemon and was able to win some of them. There is that, but also the anime is very inconsistent about that, because
Yeah, the anime is very
infamous
inconsistent.
is despite goes up against the level 100 Hariyama, but then loses to a level 5 Snivy.
Yeah, if you watch like the black and white anime, when he starts in the Unova region, like his Pikachu should have been able to like curb stomp a lot of the Pokemon early on, but like,
Yeah,
like Valencia says,
got to the point
they're
where
very
people are like,
inconsistent
"Oh, maybe
with Ash's
Pikachu gets
Pikachu.
reset in
Sometimes it's
levels after a
really,
while."
really strong, and then other times it's like,
Yeah.
it just gets stomped.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what some people theorize. So I think it's more so you got to focus on like other major characters, like say Cynthia.
Yeah, Cynthia or Lance, even though Lance is a confirmed cheater.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, when it comes to the games and anime, there's going to be some suspension of disbelief no matter what way you try to look at it.
Yeah.
So, like in real life, it'd probably be a lot different.
Oh, there would be a lot more scrutiny on a lot of things.
Yeah. Like, I think the idea of type immunity would also be it'd probably be more like in the Mystery Dungeon games where it's not so much that they're outright immune, but it has little effect and it basically does it basically is a time
Minuscule
for
damage.
resistance by default. So yeah, it still damages them, but it's basically like the same as like let's take for example punching something normally that's gonna hurt, but then it's like on something that would have little effect. It's basically like you just got poked in the face.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference between that. So it's probably looking like the Senator Armstrong thing, if anything.
Right, that's what I was actually thinking of. Because
Promo.
Raiden is still hurting him when he punches him, but like he's doing so little damage that like Armstrong is just like, really, that's it.
Yeah, some do make. Yeah, now granted, of course, some immunities make sense. I mean, the whole normal types not being able to hit ghost type Pokemon, that makes sense because they just go right through. But some others,
Yeah,
I
and I
mean,
feel
you can't
like the
suspend
same
the
applies
disbelief.
with ghost types not affecting normal types as well. I feel like that also makes sense because like if like the ghost type can like all of a sudden make itself physically hit the normal type, it's like, well then what if the normal type sucker punch the ghost type? Yes, I know sucker punch is a dark type move and it would connect, but that's not what I mean by that. I mean, like, say if the normal type went for a tackle and like the ghost type didn't like expect it, is what I more mean by that.
Yeah. To go with Kaylee, some types might have difficult times in the environment, like ice types and hot environments. That's a very
Yeah.
I do honestly think that's kind of a given. Because imagine
Yeah.
bringing Avalugg to a freaking desert. It's probably not gonna have a good time. Let's just put it as that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would go broader still because I like doing that, and I would assume because like I'd never watched Pokemon, like maybe when I was like 5, but from what I understand, it's a very PC, like very family friendly cartoon. But when we take Pokemon and put them in real world, I can't help but like be like it's gonna be brutal. Like by the 20th century, I'd imagine we'd wipe out like 90% of species of Pokemon. Because I would be like, I assume like places like Europe, unless humanity developed some way to use Pokemons like we use dogs, for example. I'd imagine like Europe would run out of most wild Pokemons.
Well,
North America probably too.
That's actually a thing Pokemon Legends covers, actually, because it's set in a time before, like, modern day, and, like, Pokemon were a lot more violent and wild back then, and, like, no joke, if you were not careful, Pokemon can and would.
Like Stantler could evolve back then, but now it no longer can. And also, there was a different variation of Sneasel that evolved into Sneasler and Hisui, but now you don't see that in the modern day. You only see the one that turns into Weavile. So, like, there's probably some natural effects going on, like the whole survival, the natural selection, survival of the fittest, and all that. And then there's, of course, like human intervention that could possibly do some things. Then some, they're just more rare as a result. Like, and some may like lose their ability to evolve, like Stantler and Ursaring.
Yeah, I would imagine that in most cases, like if Pokemon started off as like wild animals, then humans would like obliterate them because they would be so dangerous. That's one other thing that was annoying me when I was with Pokemon, that like they're like stupidly powerful, like military level powerful oftentimes, right? And I'm like, we would I mean, I would. If I was like, there's a thing throwing lightning in the forest, nearby, and it's throwing the lightning at anything it finds to be enemy, I would be like, like we can't have that nearby. That's crazy. Because like we treat the way people will treat Pokemon is like, oh, there's these cute little guys. Oh, look at this little dude. I'm gonna put him in a ball, and then we're gonna put him in a fight, and it's gonna be so cute and cool and fun. But I'm like, that's crazy. These people are crazy. Like, this is such sci-fi technology and like such a weird and highly advanced level of human-animal bonding. Like, it's it's ridiculous to me. So, if in any scenario where Pokemon would be transplanted into our world, I would imagine, like, unless they just appeared, I would imagine they would just get wiped out, and they would be like dragons are to us nowadays, that like we barely believe that they ever existed, or we don't believe that they existed at all.
By the modern day, a lot of like wild Pokemon were domesticated. So like even though they were still technically wild, they'd been like domesticated to a point where then they're still dangerous, but they're not as dangerous as like I mentioned from Legends.
As they proceed to turn sand into glass and melt your skin. Oh yes, still not as dangerous as they used to be.
I mean, it's not like we haven't had dangerous animals back in, like, even before medieval times. And there's even, like, the whole idea of, like, the war elephants, the horses
Yeah.
to charge in the battle for, like, the cavalry. There's definitely... So I think
Yeah,
it'd
but if
definitely be similar to that.
Well, I wouldn't think it would be similar to that, because, well, yeah, I assume like some Pokemon would be domesticated, and especially Pokemon that are like, I don't know, more chill. I assume there are like some more chill Pokemons that are not so much fighting, but they are like support roles, right? But with elephants and with mammoths, with wolves, all of those, they are very chill compared to anything a Pokemon can do. So I would imagine it would be like fighting dragons. I can't help but compare it to that, because like it's such a powerful being that you wouldn't, like, only a madman would risk trying to tame that, such something like that. I could imagine like some ancient kings sending out armed men to hunt Pokemons, and then a king would have his chamber full of Pokemon skin lying all over as a trophy or something like that. Because
Sorry.
I can't imagine something this powerful being treated as elephants or anything like that. Anything we have in the real world.
Here's something funny that you should also keep in mind. People would also worship some of these Pokemon as gods, because if you look at ancient Egypt, people actually did consider cats as a god. And so if you harm a cat, you're harming a god.
Well, if you also consider back, there were stories in the game about Ho-Ho, and how Ho-Ho became one of the Pokemon, and they kind of worshipped it as as a holy entity. And even Reshiram, or Rayquaza in this case too, the space Pokemon. Like, there is monuments and times represent some legendary Pokemons.
Yeah.
Like,
well, they are legendary. They are referred to as legendaries for a reason, because they have like legends and myths surrounding them. And then also, like, not to mention just how powerful they are and why, like, that's one of the reasons why they have their legendary status.
Yeah. Even back into the old ancient time as well. Like, in X and Y, they even still studies those two legendary Pokemons. One that brings life and create, and one brings destruction.
Yep.
And then there's also the other guy, I can't remember, who's green and black. I can't remember his name.
Zygarde.
Yep. And there's Zygarde, too.
Yeah, Zygarde kind of like well, it says it represents the ecosystem as a whole, but like on a global scale, it considers the whole world its ecosystem. So like it's constantly got its cells split and watching over the planet. And if like something goes particularly out of whack in one area, then that cell will call for like the other individual cells to like group up for it to form. Depending like on how out of whack things are, it adjusts its power like accordingly. So like if it's just a small thing, then it probably only uses probably its 10% form. If it's something like a bit bigger that could potentially end up becoming world ending, then it'll use like probably 50%. But like if it is a full on extinction level event that could end the world, then then it calls on like all of its cells to use all of its power.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm like, I hate to be the party pooper here, but I still can't help but imagine, like, even if Pokemon were like gods or something like that, I'd imagine like somewhere around Industrial Revolution or before that, like, okay, a Pokemon is worshipped somewhere as a god, but then bang, European colonizers come in with guns and just shoot the thing. I mean, I don't know how hard it is to kill Pokemon. I don't know if death of Pokemon is much of a thing even in the franchise. But
for the
like,
mythicals and legendary Pokemon, unless you're using a particularly high caliber weapon, I don't think guns are gonna do a whole lot because here's the thing, yes, guns are powerful, but like again, you have these legendary Pokemon that shape the continents themselves and the seas. Like
Yeah.
don't really think a gun is gonna do a whole lot there. Like
yeah, okay, that level changes like,
No.
a lot.
take Groudon, for
You
example.
also got to consider like the type of like what kind of skin, and if they have
That
hard
too.
skin, it's like it's gonna be just like, for example,
Yeah.
like just a ricochet grace, and like there's no damage to that Pokemon one day. And then their capabilities, like half of these Pokemon legendaries are actually psychic, so they can just reflect that.
Yeah,
And there's
I was
even
going to
the
use
ability
Groudon
Volt
as an
too.
example here because Groudon is pretty much the legendary that like shapes the land itself, and so like if you tried like shooting a gun at that, it's just going to annoy it at best.
I don't. Judging by how big it is, I don't think it would even notice it. Just because, oh, I'm gonna shoot my gun at this giant Pokemon. Bang! It
They
probably
kind of represent Godzilla, like
it probably won't even notice it.
Yeah, I would probably put the legendaries on a Godzilla threshold in terms of power. Like they are incredibly powerful. Trying to hunt them to extinction would be next to impossible. The only way you would probably be able to pull that one off is if you had a legendary Pokemon of your own and you decided to particularly pick a fight with the legendary Pokemon.
well,
or if you have a
look, if
Master
you also
Ball.
consider the villain side, if they have a legendary Pokemon, they're going to try to amplify and use their powers for their own benefits in some type of wacky machine they will build just to stop the others. And also considering why would we want to consider hunting down the legendary Pokemons? If we're applying to this feature, legendary Pokemons are part of the world. They would keep the world existing. If you take one down, then we might screw up our own environmental somehow in the world.
Well,
For
yeah, that
example-
would knock the world out of balance if you manage
do that
to
already.
if you manage
Yeah,
the
there's
legendary
a space
thing
and
taking
time
out the legendary
Pokemon. There's Giratina, who is in charge of the dimension. If you guys take one of those guys out, then you're screwing yourself over and the world with it.
Yeah, we
All
actually
I'm
discussed
saying-
this last week.
And it just
All I'm saying
Funnily
is
enough.
saying, okay, reset button. It just does
Yeah.
that. And it, but yeah, like,
now it begs the question: would trying to capture them be like banned at that point? Because you have like the Master
course.
Balls. Because like, oh, you're trying to capture this like legendary Pokemon now because it's usually like a little feature in a lot of Pokemon games. So would that
yeah,
be
like-
banned at this point? Because catch this legendary Pokemon. But this legendary Pokemon is literally God and it controls the very fabric of the universe. And it'll be fine.
I'm
Well-
pretty sure the government would step in saying that the legendary Pokemons are technically off balance, like they are their own protected species and you're not allowed to take them. But I wouldn't not doubt in my mind if you come across a legendary Pokemon, yeah, you can't capture it, but if you become a special bond with it, I'm sure it'll show up whenever since you are in danger or you need something from them. And that would not
Well-
break any of the laws or rules towards it.
Well, yeah, I also mentioned that last week was an exception would probably be made if the legendary Pokemon chose you as like it's basically if you were like the chosen one who like sent to save the world, then obviously the legendary there would be an exception of the legendary Pokemon fighting at your side because it's like, oh, that legendary Pokemon chose this person to do this. Okay, then there's not really a whole lot we can do because if we try and stop this person and the legendary Pokemon is like, no, you're not going to do that, it's going to end badly for the people trying to capture you at that point.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but I think the only slight difference to that one, Luca, is that you're still not allowed to have it with you in a Pokeball. I think in this exception that they'll just show up when they deem that you need their help.
Well, yeah,
There
I
was
don't think a
also-
Pokeball would be like. I know the games kind of hand wave it by letting you catch the legendaries in a Pokemon, but in a realistic situation, I do not think you're actually going to catch a legendary in a Pokeball. I mean, yes, I know the games also have the Master Ball, which catches every Pokemon without fail, including the legendaries. But like,
Aeron proved that to be BS and the Indigo Disc. And
yeah,
I also wanted to bring up, sorry to interrupt because I'm
you're good.
to speak. There's also the fact that like some legendaries are more legendary than others, so to say. Because like when you
Yes.
look, because I mentioned this last week in the last podcast, that in the grand scheme of things, the legendary birds aren't really that legendary and are actually more common than one might expect. So really, it more so depends on the specific legendary. Because like, let's say the birds, or I mean, there's
well, Lugia is the
I think like
guardian
some of
of
the more
the
modern
sea.
ones, like Urshifu.
Yeah,
even though
Yeah,
they're
and
making a big
he's
game
definitely
for
not
it.
a bird.
That was just they're just a rare one, not like an actual freaking legendary. So you can probably imagine like it may be even like how trio legendaries are legal in the circuit. They're not so much counted as legendaries because they're just common. They're just more powerful than usual.
yeah.
But I
But,
imagine what we're getting on is like when it comes to these legendary Pokemon, even though this is getting very off topic with what we're planning to do,
Yeah,
is
Yeah.
is that really? And I just lost my train of thought. Anyways,
legendary Pokemon and something about that like
let's just
yeah.
go to the topic already.
Yep.
Another thing we covered last week, though, is something that you can notice in the games, and that is that many of the trainers, they have like second jobs. Even the gym leaders, they have secondary jobs. Noticing like that, it pretty much means like that implies that unless like you're up at the top, like you're commonly competing at like the world championships and whatnot, it's not a very high paying job. It's not something you can make a career out of usually. You gotta have something else on the side, and this is even more evident as the games go on because or even as early as like the Kanto games, because when you look at it, like Misty's gym is an indoor pool, so that could probably
so I
be
imagine like that serves as like a public pool as well that you can go to.
yeah.
And they
So
perform too.
and you do see like a lot of mechanics, and it's probably not uncommon to see like people kind of scrub out the leagues and they just kind of go in their like daily lives doing like regular businessy stuff, and just doing the typical jobs around the world. So, but like some do make it pretty far, and that's when they can make. And if they do it consistently enough, so like say like someone like Wolf Glick or the one we've been rooting for, Jin Furai, ends up they could probably make a career out of the Pokemon battling, because they constantly are able to at least get close to making the worlds, if not outright competing pretty often. So that would imply making a lot off of it.
And
I also think you forgot to. Sorry, Fire. Can you give me 1 second?
mhm.
You're also forgetting adding one more category that's part of this. Yeah, they're not based off gym fights, but you've forgotten coordinating contests as well. They perform and they also still battle in the same process. And they are classified as well in this category.
Kinda, because they're not actually battling, and technically that's more like beauty pageants or like dog contests or whatnot. So you can kind of lump it
But-
similar to that.
You still battle your opponents. Just making
Kind
them
of. Like, yeah, I know that anime like tends to make it a battle, but those battles are more like flashy battles than like actual battles.
Yeah, they're more like showcasings and whatnot. You're not like actually. There's not like two Pokemon actually battling it out. It's more like they're showing off what they can do.
Yeah, like kind of like a performance.
Yeah, it's something like that.
But they still go off on winning women's, and they still travel all over the place, and they go into final competitions and stuff. And fact
yeah.
is, I feel like you can even apply to those methods, the coordinating content, into your battle skills as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's also the fact that it only appeared in 2 generations, in generations 3 and 4, and technically 6 if we count the Hoenn remakes. But so it may not be nearly as big as like an actual Pokemon circuit. It may actually be a regional thing for like an alternative you can do.
Yeah.
You could also say similar things like the Battle Frontier or like the Safari Zone. There's like just some alternatives with like that.
Yeah.
And like we could also look at like how cultures are with like Galar. They kind of treat the whole league as more like a sports circuit. So kind of like how
Honestly, that's how I would treat it myself, because like as the Galar region is based off of the UK, like I see why that would be the case, and like I see the appeal in it too.
yeah, even though everybody likes to pretend the girl trainer is Scottish, and you cannot tell me that she is not.
You can't tell me she isn't. Gloria is Scottish. Like,
Oh, I need to play more Pokemon games.
And Gen 8's not really all that worth it outside of the memes. Anyways.
So back
I
on
mean,
the topic.
The Crown Tundra DLC definitely makes the game playable. Well, I mean, the game was already playable. It was just very bare bones without the Crown Tundra. I feel like the Crown Tundra is what makes Gen 8 like good.
Yeah, and the wild area, and by extension, how Legends Arceus kind of gave like good way to gauge like what Pokemon would be pets and whatnot. You could kind of say like Gens 8 and 9 do the same.
Yeah.
Anyways, what were you saying, Kaylee?
Oh, I was saying we should get back on topic.
Oh, yeah.
Fair. Yeah, you could
Was-
probably
was
see
that
like
the thing?
the cultures of different countries kind of treating the league differently, though you could argue that like kind of like how it's a sports competition, that may be how it is in the majority, but depending on like how small the circuit is, it may be treated differently. Like as much as I don't think it's going to like take up half the freaking restaurant, I think like Larry's gym in Gen 9 isn't out of the question either. Like you could have like that could be like a smaller scale like training area rather than an actual gym. And then like people are watching, like having their dinner on the side, and that's where like you could have like a battle setup. I could see that being a thing.
Well, was that based off in Pokemon Black and White? When I'm going to bring it into the anime section here, where Ash met I forgot his name, but he was one of the brothers in the colored sewer.
Oh,
where they literally he cooks, he's a waiter, he's a cook, and his gym literally was a restaurant and turned into a battlefield.
Yeah.
The Screen Queen of Gen 5, Sillon.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was literally, you guys are literally describing what he did.
Yeah, well, like a lot of gyms back in like in the Pokemon games do double as different facilities in many cases. And Gen 5 really kind of solidified that by doubling down on it in many cases. And then it just kind of kept going and all that. Like Karina's gym in Kalos is a skate park.
Yeah.
So if they're like doing like battles for like entertainment, could that mean like Pokemon training be a little bit more profitable than we originally thought it was? Since you are like having your Pokemon battle for the entertainment of others. Granted, it's not on the competition scale, but you're still kind of like providing the entertainment for people to eat and watch.
Well,
Possibly.
like I did mention earlier on in this that that like it could be treated as like a sport. So I imagine there would be like events kind of like this is probably a weird one to compare it to, but it's the first one that I'm thinking of off of the top of my head is if you compared it to like say pro wrestling, you could probably get like something like that on TV. Not necessarily the Pokemon wrestling, but I mean more like Pokemon trainers battling each other, not necessarily like in gyms or anything like that. It's more like just an exhibition match between like trainers, and it be like not just them like doing it to get the experience of battling each other, but like more to put on a spectacle for people to watch.
Ah. Alright,
Yeah.
alright.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I just think like with the actual circuit, it's not as profitable though. You have to have something on the side.
Yeah.
So there's okay. And we also, of course, like with the Pokemon Center, we always see them just like, oh, it's just a machine, hook them up to it. Then about like 6 seconds later, they're just fine and dandy. Something tells me that is not how it's going to be like
in real life, in my opinion. Like, I question, like, if this is based off in real life. The question is, I don't think it would be that scenario where in game or in anime that they just fainted and they're knocked out and then they're fine the next day kind of scenario. I feel like it's like, I don't want to go gray and dark here, but if a Pokemon got KO, I don't think they're coming back.
Brain damage.
Kind of scenario.
Immediate brain damage.
That's why
because getting knocked out is a very severe thing, right?
That's why the matches would be heavily scrutinized. So if it looked like a Pokemon was gonna get like badly injured from the next attack, it would be like, okay, yeah, no, we'll call on that here. Like your Pokemon cannot go any further. If it does, it will get seriously hurt here.
Yeah,
or far worse.
Pokemon manga shows how violent it can get.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you gotta consider the referees, bros. Like, what if the referee just doesn't step in and I say as an accident, it's fortunate.
If the referee
yeah.
didn't step up when they're meant to, then they probably would be fired for negligence because if you're watching the match and calling it as it's going, you need to be able to watch it at all times.
Well, yeah, but if you got a bad case of the referee, like there should be, I'm pretty sure there's some type of system of a unfortunate event for everyone who's probably hit this. The owner probably get a slow sum for this unfortunate, and I don't know. I'm just saying there is probably ways to break the system and make it a total accident.
I also imagine.
Accidents can happen, yes, but like if an accident would happen, then I feel like in the instance of that, the match would immediately be called because it's like, okay, there's been an accident, a Pokemon's been badly injured here, we need it needs tending to now, kind of
But
thing.
Well,
like,
yeah, but there
with
is
those things, I'm sorry, but like considering all the things that you just said, like the risk is so high that with any level of like today's regulations that we have in everywhere around the world, basically, except like some third world countries, like, and those would be illegal. Like, I think that Pokemon fights would be illegal. Period. Like, it's so. I still like when I think about it. I think like it's so unethical with two animals that you trained against each other to fight using some powerful abilities to like zap each other and that they can literally like knock each other out. Like imagine fighting any animal and knocking it out. Like you must really hurt an animal to knock it out. And with Pokemons, it's like very common for them to get knocked out. I'm sorry, like I don't see a world where like unless some Mad Max, dystopian world, I don't see a place where Pokemon fights would be legal in our IRL.
Well, it's like we mentioned last week. It's actually really good for their health for them to fight.
It's not good. It's not good to be zapped by a lightning for your health. I'm sorry. I mean, you have to convince me more.
Anybody?
if we base it off
okay.
of
We'll hook you up to a defibrillator. We see how healthy it is for you.
One thing we also have to keep in mind, at least for like the Pokemon games, was there like a war as well? I imagine that their wars are a little bit more brutal compared to our real world worlds. Yes,
Yeah.
we have
Oh
a
yeah,
literal
100%. Because
Yeah, 'cause imagine getting hit
Can
by
I-
a red carrier.
yeah.
okay. I'm gonna have to quickly say it before I get muted, because my parents are coming back. Shocking. I'm going to say this: if we compare it to Detective Pikachu movie, actually in that city, they're not in Pokemon. There was no battles involved in the city, other than in the underground black market, if you want to consider it that way. That's where they start fighting, and that's only where they're allowed to fight. And even then, that main charge in that battle actually got damaged by Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, I can. That's the most logical way for it to work.
I never got to
Like-
see that movie, but now that I think about it, for a topic like this, that's probably the best resource to go off of.
yeah.
Really.
So like war was mentioned. In Generation 1, they kind of like offhandedly mention like Lieutenant Surge is like basically he's in the army, and like from the looks of him, like you'd probably get the impression, oh yeah, this dude's actually fought in a war before. And then in Generation 6, they outright mention, oh yeah, there actually has been wars in the past, and a lot of people, as well as Pokemon, have lost their lives in these wars. So, like, if an actual war scenario came about and it was like people with Pokemon, I can guarantee you that even if like we were still using weapons, that would also be Pokemon just literally going at each other, trying to kill each other, or Pokemon trying to kill people and people trying to kill Pokemon. So like it would be brutal.
Yeah.
That's where all bets would be off there.
We may have the funny nuclear warhead, but they have literal Pokemon that can literally destroy the fabric of the universe.
There's
Speaking
also
of-
the possibility that the Pokédex just greatly exaggerates everything.
Yeah.
Because because you see in my cargo's entry, that's basically means we have the sun on our freaking planet. There's just no way.
Yeah, no, right.
Yep.
But actually, speaking of technology, like, what are Pokeballs? Like, what do they do? Like, they teleport the Pokemon to like alternate dimension. What's going on with those? Because I think this is like very important for everything else that's happening. Like, if we had a technology that could teleport a living being to some, I don't know, storage system, I don't know, that's like smaller than its mass. I mean, that kind of changes, like, that breaks the universe already.
Well, time to delve to the Bulbapedia.
I think with the Pokeball, judging by our level of technology, because I feel like Pokemon in its canon is a lot more advanced compared to our world in some ways. So I feel like we probably would not be using Pokeballs. Instead, we just have kennels or something.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like every single thing about Pokemon changes a lot about the way people would function on everyday life.
Yeah.
Legend Arceus decides to it definitely complicates things a bit. Because that brings up some new questions that make it weird to think about in real life. That is, apparently Professor Laventon had explained that Pokemon have the ability to reduce their size to minuscule, and Pokeballs take advantage of this in order to be able to catch them.
Well, I mean, I know not every Pokemon can learn the move, but minimize is also a move where, like,
If
it does what it said.
Sorry, but you're probably going to be triggering a lot of competitive people with that. Just mentioning that move.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry to all the competitive people that I'm mentioning this move, but like, if we take that into consideration, it's not unreasonable to think that Pokemon can, in fact, just like reduce their size to fit in a compact device.
Yeah, though with minimize not that common, which is probably for the best. It
Yeah.
kind of can raise some questions, obviously.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, the Pokemon is short for pocket monsters, so they had to think of something.
Yep. It's definitely one of those things regarding the Pokeballs. You probably shouldn't try to think too much about it, because trying to actually do the logistics of that would probably be more of a headache than not.
Yeah, just make you just go 404 and then suddenly your head starts sparking and explodes.
Yeah.
That's why I'm thinking like the Pokeball technology probably would not exist in our world, or in the world of Pokemon, they're a lot more advanced than we give them credit for.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely like you probably would still see like Pokeball themed stuff at least. Like you'd probably see like the Pokewalker definitely still being a thing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Anyways, brain just that definitely did mess me up. My brain just stopped. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, like I'm trying to think of what else. But my
Well,
brain is just like.
Well, actually, we can get a little bit. We actually can get a bit more on the darker side of things, and as we all know, in real life, there's going to be some unsavory types, as I like to call them, or be friendly about it. Because you get some people who are going to be like abusive to Pokemon or use them for less than stellar
nefarious
purposes.
means.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everybody's probably going to be like, of course, some people are going to be thinking using Hypno for stuff.
I imagine certain Pokemon trainers, like from the games, would be taken advantage of.
Yeah, and you've got like also those who are just straight up evil, like they'd be like I mentioned how Voltorb is kind of like a trap and whatnot. You could probably have it to where like you might see like some actually using them in like dangerous manners to probably like off somebody with by using the Pokemon, like having them use toxic on like their food or something.
Yep.
Which that would not, I can imagine that would not be pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Yeah. Or is that or probably would be, sorry Joker, but there probably would be laws against Pokemon.
Yeah.
So yeah, those kinds of that kind of joke definitely would not fly. That would probably get you some hot water, and of course.
Well, if anybody don't mind the background, the music, I'm in a store, but I'm free to talk again. But I also think about it. There's this one Pokemon they might restrict not having around, the electric type Pokemon Electro Bob. If I'm pronouncing it right, it's been a while since.
That's what name is Electrode.
Electrode.
Yeah, it's Electro can literally explode everything around him. He's like a ticking time. That guy's
We also covered that last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, like how some Pokemon
forgive
be illegal
me.
and
I wasn't here last week. You guys didn't think about inviting me last week to take part in it.
A few people.
Blame Fire for that.
You didn't come to me till a few days ago, Fire.
Yeah, I did not think. I just
A great mistake.
Right now,
Apologize now.
let's keep ourselves behaved. Anyways, yeah, you could probably, but like, yeah, some Pokemon are just outright dangerous. You could see some being eradicated, some being like err the side of caution, and then some like you just can't use at all.
Well, unless you're
Electrode,
in the military, because the military would definitely use Voltorbs and Electrodes because, well, people are monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course the how like we kind of put like women can't use Salazzle because of the fact that Salazzle may be used for rupees on men, basically.
Yeah.
Not counting what Typhlosion did, because that was a Terror leak. That's definitely not canon, even though it's literally a common meme for Typhlosion to be on the Diddy list now.
Mm.
Wouldn't they consider Ditto be dangerous? Consider that Pokemon has the capability to transform into anything, and if you apply it to real life, they could probably change into items as well.
Spies would use
but we also covered how that is that one's very, very complicated, and it's more like you can kind of see that being legally used for breeding and population control, and rather like we could kind of see Ditto actually refusing to transform into certain things. Like there was kind of like a little joke I kind of linked in the Discord server before, where it's like it has the leaf green female trainer show one of a magazine today. I was like, "Can you transform this?" And it's like, "No, I swear to God, stop showing that."
Oh,
you could probably do that. Though also technically, there's another like little comic series that showcases something that can canonically happen, being that it's the guy's unaware that his girlfriend is a Mew, and he's been trying to find Mew for a while. So you can kind of see that guy, which leads to a lot more questions because, and also in the anime, Latias can take a human form.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see some Pokemon may actually be blending in with us.
I recall there was even a Pokemon that actually had a crush on Ash, and it would just kind of follow Ash all over the place secretly.
That was Latias.
Yeah, it was Latias.
Yeah, where I think Ditto would actually be truly dangerous is the fact that it could lead to some unhealthy coping mechanisms in certain cases, especially for if you suffer from depression.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, I got a call and I couldn't not ignore that because it was my great grandmother. Anyway, I wanted to point it out something if you again watch Detective Pikachu, there was actually we're gonna go back to Ditto since I missed my bit. Ditto can transform into a human person. The only difference is it's because of the eyes, and that's why Ditto wears those glasses back in the movie. So Ditto, I feel can be a dangerous Pokemon to be around because you have no idea who's right next to you.
the funny thing is, Pokopia, that's technically what the player character is a Ditto.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also breaking every single streamer's immersion by having stuff like Cowboy Kyogre.
I just feel with Ditto is they can use the poor creature for bad intentions.
Yeah.
Well, I think it'd be more so you'd see them very common with breeders and whatnot.
I mean, a lot of Pokemon can be used for bad intentions. It really depends on the person using the Pokemon.
Yeah, like the common joke, someone's got the popular feminine Pokemon, and just Nurse Joy's just looking at them I know what you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there would be a lot of regulations on on Pokemon. There would be no avoiding that.
Yeah, I can imagine people who get caught and have to go to prison, they can't have Pokemon, obviously.
Yeah.
Imagine the level of war crimes that you can commit with Pokemon.
Oh, hi.
Well, that's
Not
why.
hi there, fire.
Yeah.
That's why they would be heavily regulated so that war crimes could be avoided.
Yeah.
But even then, that still breaks the rules. The government can go back and revoke that rule itself.
Well, it's the
if
government.
they're real
Especially-
desperate.
I mean, when you look at the UK and the US right now, I mean, is that really a surprise?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But of course, you could. I mean, there's also actually this kind of way breaks the fourth wall in a pretty messed up way, and that is actually we know the infamous Electric Soldier Porygon incident, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can imagine something like that possibly happening with a dangerous use of Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
So and of course, ever since then, Porygon's evolutions have never appeared in the anime, even though it was Pikachu's fault. So you could kind of see somebody trying to do that for cybernetic warfare or cyber terrorism.
Yeah.
They might be trying to use stuff like Porygon and whatnot.
100%.
I can imagine at that point, there's also more ways to try and counteract that, so that we just kind of can't comprehend because Pokemon don't actually exist in our world. They can't, and it's not like your dog can suddenly go into your computer.
Yeah.
Start peeing on all the files.
Mm. But your
Imagine
cat
somebody
can.
pronounces that. Well, the Meowth is AFK at the moment. Anyways, yeah, there's a and of course we also know like the whole wartime thing. Like that could definitely be something commonly used. Like you could see like steel types being used for like being able to shield yourself from like bullets and whatnot.
Yeah.
I can only imagine Steelix would be very popular in the military for stuff like that.
We may even harvest its hide.
Good luck getting the hide off of it, to be fair.
Yeah, but I imagine
Yeah.
that we would develop some form of tech or technique to harvest it.
Which is grown type Pokemon. You mean fully evolved Pokemon?
I meant ground types.
Oh, ground. Yeah, there's of course the joke of the. I mean, Diglett would definitely be pretty effective with like the being trap. Though there's of course also the joke of what happens when it pops up under you when you're sitting down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's like some Pokemon are implied to be artificially made for like warfare and such, like coughing being chemical warfare, Voltorb
Yep.
being like, or potentially a trap of just
Yeah.
sorts.
Yep.
Like you could probably say people might try to make use of like Zapdos for stuff, some other fire types. There's definitely a lot of applications where Pokemon can be used for warfare.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
You can imagine like the two world wars had a lot of Pokemon involved in them. Like I could definitely see the Japanese using coughings with like some of their biological warfare experiments.
I think the heavy ones would be the Germans during World War II because they had the funny gas.
Once more, coughing and wheezing.
Yep.
Or if we want to be extra stinky, Skuntank.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some that like you wouldn't even think them harmless at first, but then they're actually like they are super dangerous when you get down to it.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned that this would probably be eradicated, but like Morlul is definitely was of course literally a parasite, and it's even in its signature move Strength Sap,
Mm-hmm.
which quite literally you can imagine getting hit by multiple times of that, you are gonna basically be like a mummified corpse. Which is absolutely terrifying to think about. And this even happened in the Gen 7 anime almost, where it's like a Morlul snuck up on Ash and crew, and by the end of it, they were extremely weak, like withered up, and that was just from one. So imagine what several would do to somebody.
They'll probably turn to dust.
You know, kind of like us whenever we fail to catch a legendary or shiny.
Yeah. Oh, that hurts my soul. Thanks, Pokemon Platinum, with your stupid runaway Pokemon.
Yeah. Yeah, we're hitting the 2 hour mark. We're nearing the 2 hour mark, so we do need to wrap this up. We almost veered back into the Pokédex again.
One thing we can maybe touch up upon is support animal or service animals for Pokemon. Like, which type of Pokemon would be used as a service type Pokemon, or how would that work?
I imagine probably like it does in real life, where they get like training for such, And then there are some that are just naturally helpful, like Golduck, where Golduck probably would look absolutely terrifying in real life, but if you encounter it when you're lost at sea, that thing's the best shot for getting back to shore, because that's what it wants to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like Zygarde, if you're not exactly the one causing the problems, it's probably going to leave you alone.
Mm.
Though I imagine like a lot of dog-like Pokemon, such as like Poochyena, and Yamper, Growlithe, and all that, they'll probably be like they'd be like support dogs in a way.
Yeah.
Could probably see like some of the bipedal Pokemon helping like elderly people for when it comes to like being able to walk, or if they have like a bad fall and all that.
Yeah, Pokemon like Machoke and Machamp would definitely be used for heavy lifting things.
Just don't give it a hug.
Nah.
No, I mean like like what construction workers would like when they're moving stuff around, they would have like Machoke or Machamp around to help with that.
Yeah, that happens
It
even
wouldn't
in the Genesis games.
it wouldn't exclusively be those Pokemon, but I can imagine them doing that.
Yeah, probably helping out like them, like others, like the movers were helping set up with their Machoke in the
Yeah.
Ruby and Sapphire games, so you could probably see that.
Yeah.
You could probably see like in many jobs people are using Pokemon. Like some are just outright confirmed to be that way, like with Alolan Grammar being that it helps with garbage disposal. You could probably see like for certain
I can imagine Scyther
engineering
could be used
plants.
for
Some,
hair salons, like for haircuts.
Yeah.
yeah, and then like you can kind of see like just about any being emotional support.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same with like the luxury pet kinds, or like just they're just popular with like certain types. Like I mentioned, like Buneer last time. Buneer is probably something common with little girls because it's basically like a stuffed bunny and whatnot.
Yeah.
You could probably see like Larvitar, thanks to Tyranitar being popular amongst boys, even though that's a pseudo legendary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You also have to keep in mind, like breeders probably do make a lot, because I can imagine that'd be a high demand thing.
Yep.
Probably not to the extent of Masuda method trying to get the shinies, because I can imagine there's eventually going to be like you be seen as like a eugenicist, and you'd be looked down upon if you just keep doing it over and over.
Yeah.
That's why I think the shinies may potentially be a little bit more common, just because you would have people who would be doing it, but it would be happening back then before people knew better, because we did literally breed dogs to look like that versus that and that.
I think it'd be more akin to like how some Hisuian variations just turned into their more modern counterparts. I don't think it'd be more so shinies. Because you have to keep in
That
mind how
one?
rare a shiny Pokemon is by default. It's about 1
Yeah.
in 8,079.
Yeah.
And if we assume they're more common, it's not going to be that much common. You probably just like you just basically trim it down to like if you used a shiny charm and we're doing chain fishing, it would probably be, which then you're still looking at like close to 1 in 5,000. So it'd probably still be pretty rare,
Yeah.
if not still basically like a cryptid.
I still would have to disagree with you because we would be breeding the shinies.
As
Because
Valancius mentioned, though, that would end up being looked down upon because, given like the defects it would probably give that Pokemon, it would be like, is it really worth trying to get it to be a looking shiny if it's then just gonna have defects that like make it painful to exist?
yeah, but we
Yeah.
also have the pug and the French bulldog, and we did that like way back then. So a similar thing would be happening to the shinies.
Mm.
Maybe or maybe not, because like if it ends up causing problems for the Pokemon, like health wise, I could see it being like, okay, yeah, nope, this is illegal. You are not allowed to do this at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and like I said, it's kind of like a rare mutation. I don't like if you do because like in the games, when you breed a shiny Pokemon, their babies are not going to be shiny. That's still going to be incredibly rare. It's next to impossible to get a shiny Pokemon to hatch from a shiny parent Pokemon. So
Yeah.
so it'd be just way too rare. It'd probably be like you'd definitely get some bragging rights if you have it.
Yeah.
It'd probably be treated like those rare, extremely rare, weird quirks, like this one old couple that have quite literally an alligator that likes to snuggle.
Hmm.
It'd be like that.
Doesn't make the alligator any less dangerous, but yeah, basically.
Yeah, no matter what Louisiana stereotypes will tell you.
Hmm.
And they supposedly walk the gator. Anyways.
Yeah, and like it's like also when you encounter bears in like America as well, like just walking in the neighborhood, like it's like, oh cool, there's a bear walking in the neighborhood. It probably won't like threaten anyone, but like
Don't get too close to it.
yeah, it doesn't make it any less dangerous.
Yeah, you could definitely see like how a lot of Pokemon would definitely be like that. So like in certain areas where like you'd expect like the black bear or the brown bear, you'd have to be aware of like the Ursa rings. So that'd be something like if you're on travels on your own, you have to keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
I've even seen like in a few videos, apparently like space is outright horrifying in the Pokemon universe, and that us in real life we got it easy by comparison. Which, when you take into account stuff like Deoxys, well, that makes sense. But that also raises some new questions in that, well, we'd be sounding like ancient aliens at that point if we try to go into this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also like the reveal trailers for the Ultra Beasts, which they did in the style of like the found footage stuff, which are a pretty interesting look at. But that's what you could probably assume like what would happen with like the Ultra Beasts entering the real world. That's probably what it would look like.
Yeah.
I think we gotta start wrapping it up now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I did say my friends I'd be free around now, so
Yeah.
be a good point
But
to wrap up.
yeah, that's gonna wrap up part 2. I'm not sure if there's gonna be a part 3. If we're gonna do that, we definitely would be focusing on like the Pokédex at that point with like mobs we didn't cover, but that may not be the case. We'll still decide what we're gonna be talking about next week, even though we have a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I will not be here next week, but I will probably be back for the next one after that.
All right. Well, and I say this is where we can call it here. Get up and pet our puppy Pokemon and feed
Yep.
me out the coin.
Yeah.
Yep. Meow. That's right.
Yep. Anyways,
See you all there.
take
What?
care, everybody, and remember,
like and subscribe.
or else the Houndoobs will come for you.
My God, it's finally happening. The democracy officer really was left with no other option.